In today's video, we are going to talk about inventory organization, and I'm going to show you my storage room. And now that I've lived here a little over a year, how I have adapted my organization, changed my organization, and what I've learned does and doesn't work. I've said many times that basically you want to put things in their home, right? So I might make a mess when I'm shipping packages and have boxes everywhere, but then when I'm done packing for the day, I put everything back. So everything has a home, a place where it's supposed to go and live. But first, you have to make a home for your things, and that can be a process. For example, moving here and in our kitchen. So one drawer just seemed like a really good place to put silverware. However, what happened every time a member of my family, including myself, would go to get silverware, that was not the drawer we naturally went to pull open. And so after trying to reprogram ourselves to open a certain drawer, the drawer I put the silverware in, I gave up and I moved the silverware to a teeny tiny drawer compared to the other one. But that was the drawer that we naturally went to grab silverware. So what we're going to talk about for this process of organizing is I'm going to try and give you some different usable things than I have maybe in the past. So one of those things is I want you to grab something when you're in your storage room or wherever you are going to tackle cleaning and organizing. Could be your trailer, could be your workroom, could be the storage unit. It just kind of depends what you want to tackle first, right? So you go in there and you pick something up. And like when we talk about our home stuff, it's like a trash pile, a donate pile, a put away pile. But we want to touch things the least amount of times possible, okay? So you're going to touch something and I want you to think about, okay, if I was to look for this item, where would it be? Like, where would I naturally go to find that item? So for me, speaking of tools, for an example, I naturally would go to the garage. That's a natural place for me to go hunt for something. However, I have found that I want my tools where I use them. Not all of my tools, like my drill, I'm fine with it being in the garage, but my nail, my tape measure, a couple kinds of screwdrivers, random nails, glue, I want those things to be down in the workroom where I'm using them, so that I don't have to come up, go to the garage, get the stuff, come back down, fix it, probably forget something, come back up, get it, bring it back down, then I'm done using it, bring it back up, and then 2 seconds later, I find something else that needs repaired. You get the idea. So some things like a tool or a scale or writing utensils, you might have more than one home for them. So for me, I have duplicates of a lot of tools. So some tools are going to live in the garage and some of those tools are going to live down in the basement because that is where I use them. So you grab something and you think, where would I look for this item? So functional things and things maybe in our home are a little bit different than inventory, but you really can think about them in the same way. So if I have a watering can, which I know I've used watering cans in numerous inventory organization videos when you watch those old ones. But if I grab a watering can, I am automatically going to think it goes on this shelf, my metal rolling rack with the rest of my watering cans. And that's what you want to think about for all of your inventory. I got wooden blocks. Those go in this tote. Those go in this basket. I have clothespins. Those go, even though they're inventory, in a big jar in my laundry room. Whatever, okay? So you should be able to go through all of your pieces and think, where would I use this item, or where would I look for this item? And then you put it there, and that becomes its home. Now, after you have the space organized, or you have that item living in that home, if you're like me in the silverware drawer and you go to like, ooh, I need a watering can, and you don't naturally go to where the watering cans are, the shelf, then you might need to move that watering can storage home location, okay? Also, when you're thinking about organizing your items, kind of going back to the tools, where do you use them? So all of my shipping stuff, I can stand in one spot and I can grab everything. The tape, marker, extra fragile stickers, extra labels to just cover up things that I don't want to put a marker through. All of my packing paper, my peanuts, everything, okay? It's right there where I can stand in one location and grab everything. Everything is easily accessible. It's like you should make a toolbox of your price tag stuff. Hole punch, string, stickers, every price tag you have, business cards if you use those, tape, scissors, everything should be in one place so that you can take it to the living room if you're watching TV when you're pricing. You can take it to the booth if you're gonna wait and price your things at your booth. You can take it to wherever, okay? You get the idea, but you want to have things where you use them and where you would naturally look for them. So for me, because I am generally a pretty organized person, I like to make things homes, and I like to put things back in their homes. But in order to put things back in their homes, things have to have homes. So figure out where your home is going to be for the different items that you pick up. What happens though when you can't think of a home for something? Then you have to think, is it something that you really need? Is it trash? Does it need to be donated? Do you need to give it to your neighbor, to your mom, to your 30-year-old child? You know, what do you need to do with that thing that you are picking up and saying, where would I go and look for this? Whatever it needs to be done with it, get it there. And then if you don't have room for it, then you have to start focusing on not buying inventory and selling your inventory. So if I have a shelf that is all watering cans, and that shelf, I have stacked it and jerry-rigged it, Tetrised it so high, I can't get any more on it. What does that mean? When I am out thrifting or antiquing or sourcing, whatever you want to call it, and I find a watering can, it's cheap. I mean, so cheap. But I don't have room to store it. I'm walking away, okay? If I have clothespins, like here lately, I have found so many good clothespins, but guess what? I have a whole tote in my inventory and a whole jar in my laundry room of clothespins. The tote can't hold anymore. That jar can't hold anymore. I do not need any more clothespins, so I walked away. I did not buy clothespins. Let's say that you have a limited storage unit or storage room like I do. Or let's say that your family has decided you have a 3-car garage and mom gets a slot of it for her inventory. And you buy stuff and your stuff starts spilling out of your basement storage. Your stuff starts spilling out of the 1-car garage into another garage. Now there's another car that can't fit in the garage and maybe into another one, okay? You have to rein yourself in. If I see an awesome big cabinet, but I don't have room for it. I don't have room for it in my shop. I don't have room for it in my booth. I don't have room for it in my storage. Then I have to let it go. Organizing and decluttering and staying organized is so much easier when you have less stuff. And if you don't have room to give something a home, even if it's a temporary home, you know, like your garage slot, it's a temporary home until you can move it into your booth or your shop. If you don't have room for it, you shouldn't be buying it, okay? If you have, 20 buckets, you need to be focusing on selling those 20 buckets, okay, before you are buying anymore. So having a garage space, limiting something to a tote, limiting something to a shelf, that is kind of an idea of container storage, in the sense that give your things a home that has a limited amount of space. And when that amount of space is full, then it's done. Or when that amount of space is full, then you need to tackle it. So I'm really a believer in having a system and procedure in place for everything that we do, right? So I come home from an auction with a lot of stuff. I'm gonna clean it, I'm gonna price it, I'm gonna put it on the shelf wherever its home is, or in its tote, or in the drawer, in the cabinet in the guest bedroom, okay? It doesn't have to be a one room. So you could have a dresser in the guest bedroom and that holds all your linens. You could have a cabinet in the dining room and one shelf has all of your inventory of books. You can have things scattered around the house, but you need to know, okay, all of my rusty, crusty items are limited to this section in the garage, okay? Or all of my vintage books on hand are limited to the bottom shelves of this cabinet. So everything has a home and we have a limited space. We are giving things containers so that we can limit how much we have of something. But I get home with an auction lot, I clean it, I price it, I put it away. I clean it, I price it, I put a paint pile, I put a fix-it pile, I put a seal-it pile, I put a pile to go to the booth. It could be a container where I don't come home from an auction, I just come home from thrifting. You maybe grab a couple things every week or you grab a couple things every day. And when you get home, you throw them in a laundry basket. The laundry basket, the plastic tote, whatever it is your home for those items. So your method is to not immediately price clean, put them away. You put everything in the laundry basket. But then what happens, that laundry basket is a container. So when that container gets full, then you have to tackle it. Okay, so then you sit down at the table and you clean, price, sort, put things to their home, or maybe you tackle your inventory and you work on it for 30 minutes a day and you grab things from storage or from around the house that you price and you put in a laundry basket. You price and you put in a tote. And then once that laundry basket is full, you take it to your booth. Okay, so whatever system and procedure you need to have, having containers that limit your capacity to have something is very important, in procedures and systems to keep on top of things. And I know probably many of you feel overwhelmed because maybe you have a storage unit, you can't see the back of it, and you can't walk in it. And so you're thinking, well, Brooke, how can I make homes for things? Well, maybe start with making home for things in your home or in your vehicle so that you can get some room, some wiggle room in your storage shed. So that might be that you pull out and then certain items you're immediately gonna put in your truck and take to your booth, or put in your truck and their new home is going to be like maybe kitchen utensils. You are going to fill in a tote and you're putting that tote in your truck and you're gonna put it somewhere in your house and that is gonna be its new home. Or maybe it's its new temporary home until you get your storage room cleaned out. But that way, if you come home with another kitchen utensil that you've bought, you don't have to think about where am I gonna put it. You're like, oh, no, kitchen utensils go in this tote, and you go put it there. So you can tackle a little bit of your storage unit every day, your storage room, your trailer, your garage, whatever it is you're working on. I encourage you to work on it every day. Maybe set a timer on your phone for 30 minutes, and at 30 minutes you stop and you go do something else. But if you tackle a little bit for 30 minutes every day, and with all the new inventory you bring home, you are making a system for where am I putting this? And then you go and put it there, and you do it so often that you know where everything goes. And in the meantime, you are also tackling away, chipping away at the storage of the inventory that you already have. Okay, here's the current state of my storage room. Since we moved in, this has also been our guest bedroom and my shipping station. And we just had the hardwood floors done. You see that electric box back there? Yeah. The guys took things off of my shelf so they could wheel the cart out of the way and get to the electric to turn it off. I had an extra box springs here with a rug on it, if you've seen videos of this space before. Okay, so in the organization of my workroom, basically Kellen moved out and Cash moved over to Kellen's room, and then the bed that I had down here and a dresser and furniture I had down here, knowing that it would only be like this for a year, that got moved up to the guest bedroom, which I really thought would also be my office, but now that I've been in the basement a little bit longer, made tweaks over the past year, I do like having my office down here and having everything in one place. The nice thing about a laptop and a phone, you can just pick it up and take it with you wherever you want to go. So if I want to work outside, I want to work at the counter, I want to work at the table, I can do that. So what we did was carried this table, which actually in the old house was my dining room table. We put it down here in the basement for when we moved into the new house. And so I kind of used it to stage on and just kind of like a catch-all. But I knew I wanted to put it back here. So I put it basically where the bed was. And I brought in some of my cubbies. One of these is listed on the website. One of them is not. I do need to get it on the website, but I'm just using them in the meantime. I also had a bunch of totes from Kellen's first apartment. Then he lived with us. Then he was going back to an apartment. Again, when we moved into this house, I knew all of that. So I put a lot of his stuff up high in totes or just, loose, and said Kellen stuff. So then when he moved into this apartment, he could take like extra bedding, curtains, pots and pans, just random stuff that I had hoarded from him that we purchased for the first apartment. So what I just literally did was here in this section, I put some of my bigger website pieces, but I can still see all of them. That is a Kellen tote, and it's going to stay because it's like his antlers that he doesn't want to take. And then up here is things that he didn't want to take. I'm not ready to throw away. Extra TVs we have, cords we have, that kind of stuff. And that Pussy Willow wreath, I really want to hang that somewhere in the new house, but I haven't yet, a year into it. But that stuff is all high out of the way. Then in the totes behind me on these shelves is Christmas and fall and spring and like things that are really earmarked seasonally. You can see that I have just tucked in kitchen Christmas stuff as I've gone through and purchased it. I also did do one of my Facebook lives, or not one of mine, my Facebook live in July. I did include some vintage Christmas. So I had taken things out of the totes and then put the totes back and never pulled the totes out and put the Christmas stuff back in. So I need to do that. For the meantime, it's pretty much, there's a couple pieces on the table, but it's pretty much tucked in to where it's going to go eventually. And even though it's now August, as I am recording this part, even though it's not Christmas in July anymore, I didn't get through all of my Christmas for my July live. So I am going to include some more Christmas in the in the September live, because I already did my August. I did a little in August too. So I guess what I'm saying is that I don't want to organize my totes again, pull them all out per se. I have other things I want to do first, because I'm still here in a week going to have my September sale. Once that stuff does or doesn't sell, then I can get all of it organized into the totes for a month, because then I'll probably start selling Christmas in November. So anyway, that's why the shelf is not super, super organized. What I did learn though, getting the hardwood floors, and this is something that I learned the hard way in my store. I've said this in many videos over the years, but it's been years of me saying it. You have to have access to water shutoff, electric shutoff. So the hardwood floor guys, I guess, needed to get into my breaker box, but he didn't tell me that he was going to need to get into my breaker box. I came home and my stuff was like everywhere down here in the storage room, which it already was, because I literally moved everything from the basement, or from the upstairs down to the basement. So I already had, there's like a path you could walk. And so when I got home, I'm like, what the heck happened? Because my stuff was everywhere, and my kids know they do not touch my stuff. Really, I don't even want them in this room at all. No one fessed up to it. And then finally Matt's like, oh, I bet it was the flooring guys, but he never told me that he did that. And then turns out he didn't get all the breakers switched back on. So our beverage fridge in the basement and some of the things in Kyler's room were off. So then we felt pretty confident that it was the flooring guy. But the reason he had to move a bunch of stuff is because I have wire racks in front of the breaker box. So I just moved these around. This is Wi-Fi, which how I had the shelf, I could pretty much get to it. This is the breaker box. The wire bookcase was this way. And then I had stuff all over the floor, the stuff that I just put up high behind us, all over the floor in front of it. And I have breakable things on it. So these wire carts, when you move them, when you don't have a board here or things in a tote like this, then they can fall. So he had taken off a lot of things from my shelf. So that kind of spurred me to rearrange. So I put this shelf coming out here and got them off the walls. I can still set stuff that's on the website, because this rack is pretty much my website rack. And then I went ahead and backed this rack up to it. I have one more rack in the garage that I don't want up there anymore, and I'm going to put it going this way just to kind of continue the grocery aisle kind of setup here versus before I set it up on the wall. I really needed it set up on the wall though. I mean, my logic was I needed it set up on the wall because this table is a lot narrower than the queen bed we had down here, and there just wouldn't have been any walkway. I mean, I might have had a foot here to shimmy through. That's why I didn't have the racks like this. So I'm readjusting the racks. On this side, it's a lot of just like things that I can make DIY, multiples. I've got blocks up there. I've got wooden spools and clothespins. So I really want to go through this again and try and get some of this stuff out of here. photographed, sold, share it on Insta, share it during live sales, because it's just too much clutter for me. And I don't sell like teeny tiny bulk things anymore, really, not having the store or doing so many live sales. And so I just need to clean out a lot of this. And then this I want to have cleaned off, and this is just going to be another work surface that I have. And then there's some things in the bottom, like an old bed frame. I needed to get that on Facebook Marketplace and get that out of here. I need to get my rugs out and displayed. I really just need to get this organized and then declutter some more. I have really been selective. I mean, to me right now on camera, it probably looks like a freaking mess, but there is some organization already, because that's what how I've been living for the last year, but I want to get even more organized. I had tucked in website stuff here in this area because I had empty shelving. But otherwise, I have my family Christmas stuff. I have taxes. I have scrapbook stuff. And then towards the front, I've kind of put some craft stuff, DIY project stuff, just because I needed a place to get it up off the floor. I've got more boxes up here, and that's just kind of a nice out of the way place to put some bigger boxes. And then this green shelf, when I kind of worked on decorating the basement, it got moved in here. It is on wheels, so I really like that, but I just need to organize it better. So I need to use some totes that I have, or maybe do these labeled things and put them on there and put smalls on the shelf. I'll kind of decide as we go. Had to pull a notebook out for first day of school today because Cash didn't have me buy anything for him. Here is kind of my pile. We're at the end of the month. I need to go through and do taxes, but otherwise it might not look organized, but I know, or it might look unorganized, but I know where things are. And then my boxes and all of this remains the same that you guys have seen already. So I used to have an extra box springs backing this, and it was kind of the headboard for the bed that was down here. So it's much more open now, which I'm honestly not sure if I like it so open or don't like it so open. So that'll kind of be determined. I've got things that are for sale in a few little boxes here. But for the most part, you can see I really need to get some used packing stuff because my pile is getting a little bit low. This is some more website stuff that needs organized. This came down from the laundry room. I think I'm gonna put like my tiny boxes on it. This basket has been really nice for just used mailers. And then this is just sitting here because it needs shipped as well. So this is what I'm working on. I do like having the carpet. This was just remnants the previous owners left, and you know I'm always cold, so it helps keep my feet warm. I honestly use my box cutter and cut right on the carpet because I really don't care if it gets cut or not. And I haven't even noticed it getting cut. So I will probably kind of rearrange my rug situation as I get stuff organized as well. So okay, glimpse of progress. So some pumpkins have made it out. I've bought things, I've rearranged things. Slowly getting this cleared off a little bit at least, and getting things up off the floor and into the metal cabinets. So my goal is to get everything on these cabinets, the 3-wire shelving, and the green bookshelf. I'm trying to put everything in a box or a tote and kind of sort as I go. Except for like Christmas, fall, and spring. And mainly those are just greenery things for spring and pumpkins for fall. And a lot of this stuff also is craft stuff and needs to get labeled. So you can I still have plenty of space. I'm just kind of sorting and organizing as I go, and purging. So I've taken a haul to Goodwill. I've reached out to some dealer friends, because the less you have, the easier it is to get organized. And I've also been putting things on Facebook Marketplace, trying to clean them up. I think since the last time I videoed, I did end up putting the shutter there just for a visual blockage, because back here in my shipping station, before I'd had the mattress or one of my box springs there from the kids, and it's nice to have the light, but it's just nice also to have a visual divider. And then I've got some empty totes here that I can use to sort. Here's some things that I need to fix. And yeah, I mean, I feel good. This whole section is all website stuff. Now, I have more than that on the website, but that is definitely designated website stuff. So my ultimate goal is to have everything so purged and organized that everything that I own that I want to sell is listed on the website. Will that ever happen? That is a very good question, but that is my goal. I did go ahead, because a lot of the area in here is just like not styrofoam, insulation with plastic on the back. This is literally about the only wall that has drywall. The black sections are just my walls that I used to have when I set up at shows. And then I used them in the church, and I used them in the barn as dividers to separate my space up a little bit. I did put some website stuff up there that's larger, because I knew it's not something that I need to be easily accessible. But I went ahead and put some nail holes here and hung some of the artwork that I didn't want to have on display in my own house. And you can see the shelves are only empty because I'm going through the fall stuff. So today is September 1, and that one's even empty. So at September 1, here is what we're looking at. So it's not a full-time job to organize. I'm just trying to organize when I feel like it, when I have time. And having designated homes for everything definitely makes my life so much simpler. It's cleaner, so it helps mentally with my mindset. It's easy to find things when they sell on the website. It's easy to find things when I want to have a live sale. It's easy to find things when I want to do a project, etc., etc., etc. So I am still going through this whole space, but a lot of this stuff also I would like to get over on the shelves and sorted, and then as I get new inventory, I can put it in here. We've been in the house a year, probably 14 months, and I'm slowly figuring out what works best for me. So it takes time. Okay, storage room update. So I have cleared a ton off of this green shelf, and I went ahead and pushed it back. I change my mind constantly because I don't like seeing the drain hole. So a lot of times I scoot it forward because of that, but I just wanted some more open space. Taking down the bigger stuff that I had up on the top, which I still have a couple bigger things, but it made it feel so much more spacious. I tucked a few things back there that are just like more house things that I'm not currently utilizing. I took a bunch of website stuff I had right here and moved that location. I'm trying to keep this side just stuff, family storage stuff. And I laugh because I literally went through all of this before we moved to try and get rid of as much stuff as humanly possible. And I feel like I want to go through it again. So this is on my agenda of things to do at some point because I have so much scrapbook stuff from my husband, myself, my kids. It's ridiculous. So the green shelf is pretty much cleared off. It's not really organized. Most of this stuff could find a home. This is a little DIY project I think I'm going to do for an Instagram reel. So I just kind of made a pile there. I don't think you have seen that I raised this table. So I brought this table in from the basement. I do not like to bend over. My back doesn't like me to bend over. I just feel like I'm way, 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 way more efficient if I don't have to bend over. So to raise it, I thought, oh, well, I have these wheelie carts out in the garage. I actually had just put them on Facebook Marketplace before I brought them down here because I don't envision using them. I'm not going to set up at shows. I'm not moving furniture around. I just couldn't figure out why I would want them. So I decided to put them down here as a riser because that way it gave me wheels. So if I want to turn the table and put it this way, I can. If I want to scoot the table out, I can. I can move the table around. So having things on wheels, I've talked about that many, many times. You'll notice all of my things have wheels because it just makes your life so much easier if you decide you want to move something, because we've talked about things many times. Your workflow, your processes just change as your business evolves. And so you want your storage pieces to have flexibility. And so that is why I decided to put these on wheels. So they won't necessarily fit because there's a gap. So I just ran an old piece of trim that I had saved in the move and used that, which also gives me another inch of height, which I really, really like. So I do have a pile of rugs over here. So, and I have a couple actually, well, I just have one. I have one out in the living room area and a pile of curtains that I brought with me from the move. And my goal is to, in the next week or two, get those listed on Facebook Marketplace and or my website because I'm not going to use them and I just couldn't sell them cheap when I was getting ready to move, and so they've pretty much been in a pile somewhere. This stuff has all gotten cleared off, so I've went through my fall. Fall is either out as far as like my personal decor, things that are available for sale are out, ready for my next live, and I replaced this open area with website listings. So these are things that are on the website. This little section right here really needs to get moved over to the family area. I need to go through it again. I'm not sure why I'm saving Chiefs cereal boxes, but it's a decision I'm going to have to make if I'm keeping them any longer. This bottom row is all Christmas stuff. So my goal is to sell at least 3 totes worth of Christmas by the end of the year. And then I am not really going to worry about replenishing it. I don't need greenery because I don't have a shop to decorate. I don't have a booth to decorate. I don't need all these like DIY crafty pieces. I just need to let it go. I want to thin out my inventory. This table is kind of a work in progress. I think I'm going to put this chandelier either up on Marketplace or on my website or both. I have a few big pieces leaning here. Behind this shutter, I have paint, again, stuff that I'm never going to paint the house this color again. So it's kind of like, as long as I know the name of the color, if I had to color match or something, I could do that, but I really need to take all that extra paint to the recycling. And then this is pretty much how it was maybe the last time I did a little video segment. Website stuff is on this first one, and then I just have kind of piled things together. So I've got my fabrics, I've got clothespins in a couple of spots, kind of my smaller furniture things, scale baskets, metal kitchen, wood items, springy pots. and I'm really just trying to thin out what I have. My goal is to get all of this on the website, and then I really would like to have like my crafting stuff, DIY project stuff, kind of, I would really like to have that narrowed down as well, and maybe have a new home for it. So I feel good. I feel like there's been progress made. My biggest thing is literally just making sure that everything has a home. And whenever you use something, you put it back in your home. So that's why I think I like having my boxes all made, because when I pack, like even though I'm packing as I go now, I do a monthly live sale. And so obviously I'm doing most of my shipping then. So I can make a mess in here and get all of my things packed. And then when I'm done, I, take a break, stop what I'm doing, and I put all the boxes back. I organize them again. I kind of have smaller shoebox sizes there, and I have my rectangular ones in a certain spot. So I'm very conscientious about where I put things. And it's been just a little bit over a year, and I'm slowly changing how I do things and what my system is, and I'm figuring out how I can make this space work the best for me. And so then you just make changes. You make little pivots. I do have some crafting stuff over here on my office desk, which is going to be where I would like to eventually get all of my stuff that's up there on the top. And then eventually I'd like to get my website listings a little bit more organized, but right now I'm still trying to master or figure out how to utilize my website the best, how to drive traffic to my website, because I have trained people for the last 4 years to shop with me during a live Facebook sale. Now I am trying to take those same people, have them follow me on YouTube, watch my YouTube videos, and purchase from me off of my website. So it's really hard to train somebody who I've already trained a different way to retrain them. So I feel like I'm trying to hit a whole new customer base with my website and with YouTube, and that is just taking time. So the longer I do it, the more you learn, the more you figure out what works, and then you just adapt, because that does affect your storage as well, just as far as being able to locate things and find things when they sell on the website. Again, as you learn, or as you utilize your space, as you set it up one way, you try to use it, and then you tweak. And the easiest way to tweak is if you have wheels on things, because then you don't have to unload them. You can just simply move them around. Also, something that is very important is good lighting. So I just keep, that one's off, but I just keep adding lighting back here so that I can see what I'm doing. But I have a light here so I can turn that on and see what I'm doing. Organize my upstairs laundry room and closet, because I've got random cleaning supplies and stuff tucked in here in the basement that really need to go up there. And also I want to figure out a way, instead of having all of my tools just piled here at the end of my shipping station, I don't want to have to walk to the garage every time I need something. I want to figure out a way to get that organized down here. And I also want to bring my spray paint and my cans of paint from the garage down here so that they are in a controlled environment. Okay, this is my final walkthrough of my storage room. It is not going to get any better than it is. This is, what do you call it, life, I guess. I do want to point out that I put these garage lights on here not too long after we'd moved in. So much better and so much brighter. But as I have been using this table, I did make myself a little toolbox. I just used something that I had, and these are the tools that I don't want to walk to the garage to get every 50 seconds. But as I've been using this work surface and taking pictures for customers, like I had to have all these laid out so she could see there was something, oh, these all have like chunks out of them, but I couldn't tell that because it's dark. You can see I create a shadow when I stand here because all of these overhead lights are on the west side, and pretty much I'm always working on the east side creating a shadow. So it didn't take me too long before I bought these skinny lights. Now, I only hung the two, but you know, frugal Brooke, I bought, I don't even know, a 6-pack maybe, because I knew I would want them in the future. The reason that I love these is that you can put them together to make one big long one. They do have the little switch so I can turn them on and off. And then guess what I did? I just went ahead and ran them all the way down these built-in shelves. These were all here when we moved. So besides being able to butt them up close to each other, they also have these little cord attachments. So I added a cord attachment and then I added another cord attachment. And then I still have the one over here so that I can see some of the stuff on the shelving a little bit better. But this setup is working so much nicer for me. I have things grouped together for the most part on the totes, but I do know where everything is. Website stuff is over here now. I've got fall compacted down to just 2 totes. Spring is just compacted down to 2 totes, which is pretty much just greenery. And then I have most of my Christmas out. I'm sorting it and selling it, getting it ready for a Facebook Live sale. And then the stuff that I don't end up selling, that's kind of more crappy stuff, I am just going to trash it or donate it. It is just time to move some of this stuff out. So I hope seeing my storage helps you with your storage. The key is to just put things up as you go. So hopefully seeing my storage area helped you. It definitely is going to depend on your situation. When I had a 2,000 square foot building, my capacity for inventory was a lot larger, and I just kept it organized as I went so that it never gets away from you and you're not having to start from scratch. Give everything a home, put it in the home, have systems and procedures. If you are cluttered already, just work on it 30 minutes every single day and start now with your new inventory to having a more organized system of where is its home, put it in its home, use a container so it limits how much inventory you have, makes you a better buyer so that you can make money instead of have money sitting in storage. And we didn't really talk about labeling because labeling is up to you. I have labeled, I have not labeled. I feel like if you have a good system and you know everything has a home, then you are much better about not needing labels because you put stuff in that spot so frequently or remove stuff from that spot so frequently to put into your booth that you don't need a market. I do find that clear containers can be a little bit easier because I can tell that this container has all of my baker's twine. This container has the clothespins. This container has the wooden blocks. This container has the keys. So I really don't need to label it because I can easily see it, even though they're all the same size tote and they're all stored on the same, shelf in my storage room. So clear containers can help, but you don't want to have to go buy new containers. I'm sure lots of us have picked them up just garage sailing, thrifting, at auction. So use what you have. So if you can't see the thing, you might want to add a label. And then you are going to get organized and you're still going to need to adjust and pivot. Like, oh, well, I have a lot more of this than I realized, but I have a lot less of this than I realized. So maybe you put a lot of stuff in a bigger tote and then not as much stuff in a smaller tote. Maybe you realize that you are going to grab twine like every day, every other day for craft projects, for tying on price tags, for just making things look pretty. And so you had your twine really up high. It was easy to find and easy to get to with a ladder, but it would make a lot more sense to put that somewhere where you didn't need to take that extra step and get that ladder. So as you get organized and as you use your space, you are going to be able to adjust easier when everything has a home. You also are going to learn if you need more totes, if you should be looking for those at the thrift store, if you need better lighting. For me, that was key down in my storage room. And the more organized I got, the more evident it was that, hey, if I'm going to work in this space, I got to be able to see. You might realize that you need a separate toolbox, that you need a price toolbox, a price caddy. You might realize that, hey, having these things in drawers versus lids that I got to pop off, drawers might be a lot easier. So maybe you get a functional dresser and put in there. Maybe you get those plastic drawers and put in for some of your inventory, but you don't really know that until you've been using it for a while. And so I just encourage you so much. I really think it helps us stay on top of our business, our numbers, our profit margins, if we can keep our inventory contained, organized, know how to get things, know where to find things, know if we had to explain to our spouse, hey, I need you to go grab XYZ. If everything has a home, then you're going to be able to walk that person to that item, to that tote, to that shelf, etc. So good luck.